55 years of existence. When Parkinson School was developed within the pantheon of new secondary, so-called secondary schools, in what could easily be determined as the educational revolution in Barbados, to expand educational opportunities to the ordinary masses of Barbados in 1961 and onwards, Barbados was a much different place from what we experience today. Education was limited to a few, those whose parents had money or who were lucky enough and bright enough to win a scholarship to go somewhere. Healthcare in this country, again, was the reserve, good healthcare, for those who could access it through resources, or were lucky enough to be able to travel out of Barbados to the metropolis, predominantly England, or even the United States, to access such. Social welfare was in its very embryonic stages. And the promise of the delivery of an enhanced and advanced social development system from the Moyne Commission, spanning from the 1937 riots, was yet unrealized in this society. We're speaking about the early 1960s. An economy that was monocrop and its embryonic stages of diversification, largely reliant on sugar and sugarcane production, where, as Mr. Broom said, many of our parents and foreparents had to go into cane grounds on a daily basis. Sometimes both parents, one cutting, one loading, and work for hours and hours on end. But yet, an unrealized promise of better economic times and conditions. That was the environment in which this school was created as part of the pantheon of secondary schools that have gone on to contribute to this society. We had the older schools. We had the Harrison, we had the Lodges, we had the Queens, we had all of these other institutions. They did well, but they touched few. And under the visionary leadership of Sir Cameron Tudor, but then Cameron Tudor to James Tudor, then Cameron Tudor as he was called, continuing under the visionary leadership of Lloyd Erskine Sandiford, now Sir Lloyd, backed by a strong social compact, designed, conceptualized, and developed by those stalwarts of our society, whether it be the Grantley Adamses, the Barrows, the Winter Crawfords, and so forth and so on. We emerged a society that has now gone on to change lives fundamentally in Barbados. We've just celebrated 49 years of independence. And I listen to many people who speak about what happens in Barbados. Sometimes, if you go on Facebook, I don't go too often because I agree with the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Barbados. Your mind is very much like your body. If you put garbage into it, garbage will come out. So I guard very carefully what goes through here and what goes in here. But sometimes, because you are around, you hear these things. And when you listen to people speak, they say times are hard in Barbados. Barbados is a difficult place to exist in. Taxes are so high. This is not right. That is not right. And the society, veritably as we know it, is disappearing. I smile. Because those of you who are older than me, and those of you who have invested the time to research, if you are not older than me, would know that what people refer to as the good old days and there were some good old days too, could easily be characterized as the bad old days, where poverty and the misery index was much higher, substantially higher, and impacting on the lives of ordinary citizens in a debilitating way. Fast forward to 2015. We live in a society in which we promise universal access, free at point of delivery for all major social services in Barbados, or highly concessioned. Education, healthcare, from primary to tertiary healthcare, public transport substantially concessioned, because for those who believe that it really takes $2, is $2 now? That it really costs $2 for a ride on a transport or bus are sadly mistaken. The average cost is about $4 to $5 Barbados. Free sanitation services. We now have in Barbados more internet connections than we have population. As many landline connections as we have people. More cell phones than we have citizens in Barbados. We have the gamut of instruments, products, provisions that designates Barbados as one of the smallest developed countries in the world. That is where we have come since this school was established. And the fact that we have been able to get there has been because of several features, but the most critical is that of education. That has been the single divider between Barbados and many other countries in the rest of the world. The fact that somebody somewhere had the foresight and had the insight to be able to conceptualize a society constructed on an educated population and to provide access of education to all who may prefer to utilize it, demonstrates the brilliance not just of those persons, but of the thought that has allowed this society to progress to the stage where now we can boast of having a middle class in Barbados. And if you understand what the importance of that, where we have come from, we come from a stage in 1930 where there was no middle class. There was a small affluent class, and then there were all the rest. Poor, miserable, and in the bonds of poverty. Today, we have a standard of life and a quality of living that is superior to many, many countries in the world. The point that I'm making is this. Were it not for institutions like this, the Parkinson School, were it not for the dedication of the staff, the principals, the boards of management, the teachers, the administrators, we would never have been able to realize the promise of a modern society built on the backbone and the platform of education.